What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be going over the WALLHACK MO and the SY. WALLHACK, recently known as SkyPad, changed their name over to WALLHACK, and they also dropped two cloth pads going on with that. And I have two completely different point of views here. I'm not going to be diving super in depth into these pads because the SY is pretty bad overall and the MO is really great. But I will call out a lot of issues and glaring points here, and I'm really hoping that they can fix a few things on these pads. So here we have the SY and the MO. They are both supposed to be black, but the SY is definitely more of a cloth, and the MO definitely feels more of a hybrid surface. So you do get this blacker color on the SY compared to the MO, which is a little bit, it is black, but it also gives off a lot of reflection and gray hues. So there is that. Other than that, we'll start off with the SY, which is my least favorite pad by far. This pad builds up a lot of static electricity when using it, which automatically makes it unusable for me, especially since I play with the hoodie. It feels very unusable. It builds up a lot of static electricity. I feel it in my wrists and my arms. I feel it in my fingertips using this pad. It definitely does not feel very good to use at all. As well as the surface feel, I am using J dots, so it's supposed to feel very slippery and very glidey. It's supposed to feel like floaty almost, and this pad does not do that. It's a very semi-smooth surface, but on that being said, it does not feel very smooth at all. Definitely just not worth reviewing or recommending on the SY here. I've also had surface issues with it, with tearing. Overall, just not a good pad. The SY definitely flopped here. They definitely need to take this back to the lab and rework whatever they were thinking on it. But getting onto the MO, definitely going to be the major point in this video here, is that this is a very good pad. I don't know if it's worth the price point. It's very hard to justify paying, 60-65 shipped, because I paid 120 for both the pads, and that's using a code, and that's still very expensive to me, especially for a pad that's not 500 by 500. It's 490 by 430. And actually, let me show you guys something here. If I get my tape measure out, these pads don't even reach the 490 by 430 mark. This is sub 19 inches. And then in terms of height, we have sub 17. It's actually like 16 3/4 inches. And both of those measurements come out to about 482 by 425. And those both miss the mark substantially in terms of size. It's supposed to be 490 by 430. This is a 480 by 425, roughly. So they really did miss the mark on sizing on the MO here, which I wasn't really happy with. I definitely feel it, especially considering I usually line up my pad with my mic over there, and that's usually how I line up the pad when I play. And whenever I'm playing, I do find my fingers slipping off, a lot more than normal on a 490 pad that I'm used to. So it felt very weird, so I was definitely forced to shift it even more over. Obviously, that fixes the issue. Very small thing there, but it's still not advertised, the way that it should be. It's 480 by 425, not the 490 by 430, and it is definitely disappointing to see that the pad is a bit smaller. But other than the sizing issues, and we'll talk about another issue since we're here already talking about issues, is the base. Now, the base looks gorgeous. You have the WALLHACK logo pretty much everywhere here. It's ink pressed, and then you have a silicone holding it all together, so it looks gorgeous. But unfortunately, I'm not playing on this side of the pad. This is the pad that stays down, that's supposed to be very grippy and supposed to stay on my surface, and it does a sorry, excuse me. It does a very terrible job at that. It's a very slippery surface. It is not grippy at all. While gaming, it does move. It slides very easily and does not have very much grip at all. So that was also a bummer on both pads, obviously, because they're constructed very similarly. Now, the thing that they did nail is the surface of the MO. You do get a very zippy glide. It feels very good. And, unlike the SY, you do get this floaty feel on it. It feels like you're almost floating above the mouse pad. It feels very nice. It does have a rough texture to it, but it's not abrasive. I'd say it's like a hien, but less abrasive. So you definitely do get that textured feel, which feels very good. There's no static electricity buildup on this pad at all, which feels awesome. You can play with the hoodie on it and it feels great. The only thing I'd say is that for those that don't like textured surface, this is very rough. It definitely is a rough surface. It definitely does sound scratchy when moving your hand over it. But it's not abrasive. Like, you're not going to get any rashes on your wrist or the bottom of your palm by using this pad compared to like a hien. So this is definitely a good middle ground for that. For people that want a textured rough surface, but they don't want it to be abrasive, this is definitely a good pad for that. They really did nail the surface on this. It feels very, very good to use. It's very fast, very glidey, very zippy, but you still get a lot of those micro correction precisions with it being fairly plush, and you get that textured, so your fingers kind of just like lock in and create that friction for you. It feels very, very good to use this pad in almost anything that you do. It feels very, very nice. So they nailed the surface, but they kind of messed up on the base and the sizing. And then you have the stitching, which is almost flawless here. I'd give it a solid like 9 out of 10 here. If Artisan was 10 out of 10 with their pads, this is a solid 9, 9.5. Very, very good stitching here. Something that I do with a lot of pads is I just rub the edges to see if it frays or to see if they're spreading. And this pad does not do that either. Even if I were to use my nail and kind of scratch into the edging here, that is almost flawless, and it does not fray much at all, which is really, really good. It's also subsurface level, which is great. So overall, they nailed the surface and the stitching on the Mo, but like I said, the base is just way too slippery for me to recommend. And like I said, you don't actually get the 490 size that you're supposed to get. Like I said, this is closer to a 480, which was a bit disappointing for me. But other than that, overall, I do think they nailed the surface. I don't think I can recommend it to people, especially at that $60, $65 price point shipped. It is very expensive for a pad that does have a bad base and not the right dimensions, at least from my version of it. So definitely some concerns there, and definitely I don't feel comfortable recommending it in terms of for those reasons, but the actual surface itself does feel very good. So if you are a person that enjoys a hien, you enjoy the speed of a hien, or maybe you're looking for something a little bit slower and a little bit less abrasive, then this could be a very good pad for you. Other than that, I would stick with the higher tier brands like Lethal and Artisan, and get your high quality pads that aren't going to have issues, aren't going to have bad bases, and you're definitely going to get the size that you paid for, because those companies do a really good job at that. And I feel like this is just a little bit on the shorter end of things. I feel like WALLHACK makes really, really good glass pads with their SkyPad 3.0, even their 2.0. A lot of people enjoy that one, and their 4.0 recently, a big upgrade over the 3.0. I think those are really, really good pads, and I think those are good to recommend. But the actual cloth pads on its own don't feel the best. I wouldn't recommend the SY at all. The MO, on the other hand, if you're looking for a decently high quality pad and Lethal or Artisan's shipping is too much, I know WALLHACK does offer a lot cheaper shipping worldwide compared to Lethal and Artisan, so this could be a good pad for those people. But other than that, I would stick to stand with like Lethal pads or Artisan pads for now. I am hoping that WALLHACK does do a V2 of the MO and completely redoes the SY, because I think that was a terrible pad. And if they were to do that, I think I definitely give those a second chance and give them another review, because I feel like WALLHACK does care about their pads, they do care about their customers, and they do care about quality as well. So hopefully they do a redesign of the SY and they do a V2 where they definitely send the right size of the pad and maybe a better base. And I think that would make the pad definitely worth that $60, $65 that they're wanting to charge. And hopefully they can throw on some designs in the future as well. But other than that, I hope you guys did enjoy this video. Hopefully you guys did learn something about the MO and the SY and if the pads are for you. But overall, my conclusion is that these pads are a little too pricey for what they're offering right now. I think the sizing isn't, like I said, where it needs to be for the price point. And I think the base isn't as great, and they should definitely rework on some of that stuff. So hopefully WALLHACK takes some of the stuff into consideration. They rework these pads, re-release them, and I think those would be really, really good pads. And if they ever do, I will buy them again, spend another 120 bucks, and give you guys an updated review. But for now, I would keep this one on the back burner until they issue out some new cloth pads or go buy their glass pad, which I think is great. Other than that, if you guys are looking for some good high quality cloth pads, go check out the Artisan website. I'll leave a link to it in the description. Or check out the Lethal website and check out their Saturn series or their Neptune series, which I think are very, very good. And you can use code Saturn for a discount on those. I will leave the link for these in the description as well if you guys are still interested in getting them anyways. But I do not have a code with them. I am not trying to get one right now because I do not think that I could recommend these. And like I said, in terms of glass pads, I do think they have some really good ones, but there's also a ton of other creators that advocate for those. So go use some of their codes and help them out. But if you guys did enjoy the video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.